You do not wake up. Sleep is not a state you are allowed to return from. You are simply roused in the suffocating darkness by the crack of a whip against stone. The air you breathe is not air. It is a thick, wet blanket of dust, sweat, and despair. It tastes of iron and hot rock. This is the year 200 AD. You are a slave in a Roman silver mine in Hispania, and you are already dead. You just haven't stopped moving yet. We think of the Roman Empire in terms of marble temples and disciplined legions. We see the aqueducts and the Colosseum as monuments to genius. But beneath the marble and the glory lies a darker foundation. A foundation of forgotten bodies and industrial-scale suffering. The silver that paid the legions, the gold that adorned the emperors, it was all ripped from the earth by men who had been erased from the world. They were condemned to the mines, a sentence known as damnatio ad metalla. It was not a prison sentence. It was a death sentence, served in daily installments. The question is not just how these men died, it is how they were forced to live. The sun has not yet risen over the barren red-brown hills of Hispania. The mining complex is a scar on the landscape, a sprawling camp of crude wooden barracks, stockades, and the gaping mouths of a dozen tunnels leading into the earth. Guards stand on wooden towers, their silhouettes black against the pale dawn sky. This is not a civilian operation, it is a military one. The mine is an engine of the state, and you are a broken cog within it. Your name was once Celtus. You were a warrior from a northern tribe that dared to resist the empire. Now you have no name. You are a number, a piece of property owned by the Roman state, worth less than the iron pickaxe you will soon be holding. Your life is measured in the grams of silver you can extract before your body fails. A guard shoves a piece of bread into your hand. It is dark, dense, and gritty with sand. You are given a water skin filled with brackish water that tastes of the earth. This is your fuel for the next 12 hours. You join a long line of other men, hundreds of them, their bodies thin and scarred, their faces smudged with the permanent grime of the tunnels. They are Gauls, Dacians, Britons, criminals, and debtors. A river of the damned flowing towards the blackness of the mine entrance. As you step from the cold morning air into the tunnel, the darkness swallows you whole. The sun you leave behind is a memory you may not live to see again. The descent is a journey into hell. The main tunnel slopes steeply downwards, slick with water and loose stones. The only light comes from crude, sputtering olive oil lamps, placed every 30 feet, casting long, dancing shadows. The air grows thick and hot, each breath a struggle. The noise begins, a low rumble that grows into a deafening roar. It is the sound of thousands of iron tools striking rock, a relentless, percussive thunder that never, ever stops. The Romans were masters of this. They didn't just dig, they conquered the earth itself. To break the hardest quartz veins, they used a technique called fire setting. For months, slaves would hammer tunnels beneath a rock face. Then they would light enormous fires, heating the rock to a tremendous temperature. Finally, they would douse it with thousands of gallons of cold water. The thermal shock would shatter the mountain from the inside. The air would fill with a toxic soup of smoke and steam. But it was the fastest way to get to the silver. You are now half a mile inside the mountain. You crawl on your hands and knees through a tunnel so narrow you can feel the rock scraping your back and chest. Your lamp, a small clay dish of oil with a floating wick, is tied to your forehead with a leather strap. It sputters, threatening to plunge you into absolute, terrifying blackness. You arrive in a small cavern, no bigger than a closet. The heat is immense, radiating from the rock walls. Your job is simple. You take your iron pick and you hammer at the glittering vein of silver ore in front of you. The historian Diodorus Siculus, visiting these mines a century earlier, wrote of this with horror. The slaves, working day and night, are worn out by their sufferings and die in large numbers. They are not allowed to cease their labors or to rest. but are forced by the whips of their overseers to endure their terrible lot. Swing. The pickaxe connects, sending a jolt of pain up your arms. A few chips of rock fall to the floor. Swing again. The dust fills your mouth and nose. You cough, a dry, hacking sound that is lost in the din. Swing again. Sweat pours from your body, mixing with the rock dust to form a gritty paste on your skin. Your muscles scream. Your lungs burn. This is silicosis. The fine quartz dust you inhale is like breathing in microscopic shards of glass. With every breath, they embed themselves in your lung tissue, creating thousands of tiny cuts. Over weeks and months, your lungs will turn to a solid, useless mass of scar tissue. You will begin to cough up blood. You will die, slowly and agonizingly, by drowning in your own fluids. It is the signature disease of the Roman miner. No one escapes it. Suddenly, a different sound, a low groan from the rock above you. Dust and pebbles rain down on your head. Tunnel collapses are a constant threat. The Roman engineers were brilliant, but they pushed the limits, digging vast networks of galleries and shafts that turned the mountains into hollow honeycombs. They were structurally unstable by design. You freeze, every muscle tensed. The groaning stops. You wait, your heart pounding in your ears. Nothing. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You go back to work. Swing, swing, swing. A small boy, no older than 10, crawls into your cavern. He carries a woven basket. His face is thin and pale, his eyes wide in the flickering lamplight. He does not speak. You gesture to the pile of ore you have chipped away. He scoops it into his basket with his bare hands. These were the carriers. Children were used because they could fit into the smallest tunnels, hauling baskets of ore weighing up to 50 pounds back to the main galleries. Their small bodies were simply another tool to be used and discarded. The boy gives you a nod, a flicker of shared humanity in the oppressive darkness, and crawls away. You watch him go, a small ghost disappearing back into the labyrinth. The greatest danger, however, was not collapse. It was water. As the mines went deeper, they inevitably hit the water table. Flooding could wipe out an entire section of the mine in minutes, drowning hundreds. To combat this, the Romans engineered incredible drainage systems. In some mines, they installed massive water wheels, worked by slaves in shifts, lifting water from the depths. In others, they used the Archimedes screw, a huge spiral device turned by slaves walking in place for hours on end. A monotonous, soul-crushing task. You hear a shout from a deeper tunnel. It is a sound of pure panic. Then you feel it. A trickle of cold water around your ankles. The trickle becomes a stream. The water is rising fast. The shouts are now screams echoing through the tunnels. Your lamp sputters as a splash of water hits it. You scramble backwards, abandoning your tools. The tunnel you came through is now a torrent of dark, churning water. You are trapped. Pliny the Elder, a Roman author who wrote extensively on mining, described the power of water in these mines. The mountains are hollowed out by galleries driven for long distances. Suddenly the fissure gives way, and the miners are crushed. It is less dangerous, one might almost say, to go seeking for pearls at the bottom of the sea. The water is at your waist now, cold and heavy. Your lamp is gone, and you are in total, absolute darkness. You can hear the screams of other men, some near, some far. You feel your way along the rock wall, your fingers searching for any opening, any way up. Your hand finds a small ledge. You pull yourself up, your muscles straining. You find another handhold. You climb, blindly, desperately, as the water roars beneath you. You are not thinking. You are pure survival instinct. A body floats past you in the darkness. You keep climbing. After what feels like an eternity, you find a cross tunnel, one that slopes upwards. You crawl into it, your body shaking, your lungs heaving. You are alive. Many others are not. For the Romans, this was a calculated loss. The lives of a few hundred slaves were a trivial price to pay for the continued flow of silver. The overseers would simply wait for the water to be drained, send in a new crew to clear the bodies, and the work would continue. The machine did not stop. It could not stop. The scale of this operation is almost impossible to comprehend. At the Las Medulas gold mine in Spain, historians estimate the Romans moved nearly 500 million cubic meters of earth. They literally dismantled mountains, using hydraulic power to wash away entire hillsides. This single mine produced over 1.5 million kilograms of gold. That wealth funded the expansion of the empire, paid for the roads, the aqueducts, the legions. The entire edifice of Roman civilization rested on a foundation of this industrial-scale brutality. Every gold coin in a senator's purse was stained with the dust of a slave's lungs. Every silver denarius was tainted with the memory of a body left in a flooded tunnel. Hours later, you emerge from the mine. You stumble into the evening light, your eyes blinded by the setting sun. You are caked in mud and rock dust, your body a canvas of cuts and bruises. You are given another piece of bread, another ration of water. You are herded back to the barracks. You collapse onto a straw pallet, the same straw that is filled with fleas and lice. The man next to you is coughing up blood. He will be dead by morning. You close your eyes, but you do not sleep. You simply wait for the whip to crack again. There is no escape. There is no hope. There is only the swing of the pickaxe, the burn in your lungs, and the suffocating darkness. This is the price of empire, a price paid by men who were never meant to be remembered, a forgotten hell buried deep beneath the foundations of the world we inherited. And as you lie there, you have to wonder, how many of our own monuments are built on a similar, unseen cost, paid by ghosts we have simply chosen not to see?